In this video, I'm going to be touching on what it's like to be in unity consciousness. The term unity consciousness has been thrown around the internet like it's just some sort of buzzword, but in fact, it's quite an amazing state or place to get to. So let's jump in. I just wanted to give a bit of an explanation as to what it's like to come into this place after you've done so much work on yourself, you've done so much healing, quote unquote. You've been through, your dark night of the soul, you've come out the other side, and you've come into this place where you're just good. So let me explain a little bit more. So when you do come into this unity consciousness, and a lot of people will describe the feeling of unconditional love. So this doesn't mean that you're just a doormat and you're an open door and you just love everyone regardless of what they do to you or how they treat you or those sort of things. It's not that at all. It is a place where you have unconditional love for the whole. It is unconditional love for yourself, first and foremost, and then unconditional love for the universe, the whole human race. It's non-judgment as well. So, even if you do have those little judgy thoughts, your mind quickly switches and realizes and picks up on that. That's what I found, definitely, in unity. So that there's a lot less judgment of others. In fact, there's pretty much none. There is a unconditional love for self and for humanity and everything in the universe, basically, because we are all one. You will have a knowing that we are all the same, we are all connected, and that you are the creator of your own universe. You are the creator of your whole entire life. And before coming into unity, that would be something that your ego would probably fight against and not kind of grasp. But once you come into this space, you really have that understanding that you really are the creator of your own reality, and your vibration and your energy and all your thoughts are interconnected and interwoven into the universe. So that's also part of the non-judgment, because you know that you are connected to everything, and that everything and every thought and every action that you take has a equal and opposite reaction. You know that your thoughts are creating your reality. You understand that. So that's a really big part of coming into unity consciousness. Another thing is non-attachment to anything or anyone. This is a really big place to come to, and it's really great because you're not attached to those physical things or people anymore. You obviously still love the people around you, your family, your spouse, whatever it might be. And if you happen to meet another person, your relationship will be tends to be completely different to what it looked like before you were in unity. So these relationships will look and show up a lot more loving, and there won't be that toxic element to them that you may have had in the past, because you've worked through and healed through all those traumas. So what you're attracting into your life is a lot more loving and a lot more of that unconditional love. You simply won't have the capacity to hold relationships that you had in the past. Now it's a completely different relationship dynamic. It's coming from unconditional love. You are coming from a place where you're whole inside. So you actually don't need that validation from the other person to tell you that you're okay. You have it from within. So that relationship and that partnership will show up very differently. And you'll find that your other relationships in your life, like friendships and everything, will show up a lot differently as well. But you won't be able to dabble in those lower vibrational situations anymore. It just won't resonate with you, and you won't be able to hold it in your space. And you'll find you won't attract them anymore anyway, because your energy and your frequency is at a different level to what it was before. And before, you would have attracted those things into your life because that's what you were holding within you. So it's as within, so without. That's the principle. So that's a really big thing. You won't be attached. You'll be non-attached. Even it's not just relationships. It's money, cars, houses, spouses. All the material things as well. That desire for all that fades. It diminishes to pretty much nothing. For me, that was what it was anyway. It's not that you can't have those things in your life. You can definitely still have them in your life, and you still want to interact with those things, but it's on a very different level. You're not attached to them anymore. You're actually quite detached, and you're good either way. So if you have them in your life, awesome. That's amazing. But if you don't, you're not worried about it. You're good either way. So that's a really big milestone to get to as well. Like, I found that when I got there, I was like, oh my God, this is really cool, because the ego is always striving for more and more and more. And to have that like die down and dampen down, and not have to be controlled by all these outer things all the time, and be chasing and chasing and chasing, and wondering why you're not getting it, and blah 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 blah. It's really exhausting, and it takes a lot of your energy. So it's really great to not be in a place where you're always striving for the next thing. Your goals will still come through. You'll still have desires. You still want to create, because you are a creator. It's not that. You will still create a life of how you want to live, but it won't be coming from a place of attachment and coming from the ego. Another one is the mind is a lot quieter, and you don't identify with your thoughts. So your mind will still have thoughts, but you're not being pulled around by those thoughts anymore. You're being guided by the soul now. So we're not being pulled around by those thoughts and those emotions, and we're not living in the past, and we're not living in the future, and we're not making up stories in our head like we used to. We're not replaying all the crap that's happened to us in the past. We've transmuted it, and we've moved on through that. So we're not in a place now where we have to live in the past and keep ruminating about it, or we have to live in the future, and we have to keep thinking about how great it could be to do this and do that, and have this and have that, or whatever it is. We can simply be in the present moment for most of the time. Your mind still has that mechanism, and we still have those. The mind still has a purpose in your life, obviously, but it will come to the forefront when it's been called upon, not just pulling you around from place to place every second of every day. It's very peaceful. You'll be in a very peaceful place most of the time. Things can still arise, emotions can still arise, you can still feel them, and you can still, have those emotions. But it's not in a place where it's pulling you around and you can't get a hold on it. You're not going into those anxious places or depressed places. You have a baseline, neutral sort of place where you come back to, where you always come back to. You come back to your center. So you can have these emotions where something might have upset you, or something might have, made you happy, or whatever it is, but we're coming back to center. It doesn't shake you. You're like a pillar now. We're like a pillar, and we are like a lighthouse. So we're, showing the way. We're not being pulled around by the wind or the storm or the ocean or the tide. Like we're just that pillar, and everything just comes in and out. And it's a really nice space to be, because there's an underlying, even when there is, those emotions that might arise, there's still that underlying sense of peace underneath. You feel lighter, you feel free. You don't have that baggage and trauma that you've been carrying around for your whole life, basically. So we're not in a place now where we're, dredging up the past, and we're going to the future. And like I said before, it's this lightness. It's a lighter feeling, because you have transmuted all that energy that had to come through and be transmuted, in order for you to come to this place. So you've gone through your dark night of the soul, and you've gone in and healed all those traumas and karmas and things like that. So you're not carrying around all this extra baggage, emotional baggage, that really does weigh you down. You're in a place where you really feel quite light. You feel free, because you're not, being dragged around all the time. It's this place of just peace and joy and love and interconnectedness. So, we still, it still is a place where we can, have our thoughts and have our feelings and everything like that, but we're not being pulled around, and we're not pulling around that big bag of traumas and karmas and all, limiting beliefs, abandonment wounds, you name it. We're not carrying around all that anymore. So we're so much more free. We're so much more light. The body will feel lighter. You just feel so much more connected, and it's because you've come back to your true nature. And your life will have a flow to it. You'll feel that life will just start to really flow, and things will start to happen, and things will come into your life that you didn't really necessarily think would happen. Your life just has this sort of flow to it, and that's the the sort of hum of inner union, is that your life has this great flow to it. And it's because your energy and your frequency is vibrating at a much higher rate now, that things can just flow into your life and flow out of your life and all that sort of good stuff. And you don't have to be, the subconscious patterns and the traumas and the karmas and the wounds are not ruling your life anymore. The soul is ruling your life now. You're being led by the soul now. You're not being led by the false self, the ego identification, the mind identification. You're not being led by that anymore. You're being led by your soul. And that's, ultimately where we want to be. This is ultimately what we are. We are the soul. We are a soul in physical form, incarnated onto this earth to have a 3D experience. So that is what it is bringing you back to. We're coming back into that remembrance and that knowing that we are the soul. and we are a spiritual being having a 3D experience, and we don't need to worry about every little tiny thing that's happening. We can be led by the soul now. So if you're not there yet, obviously be very gentle with yourself. It is such a big process to be going through. It's the biggest thing you can go through, in your whole life. So, and it is a process. So don't be hard on yourself if you're thinking, oh, I'm not there yet, or I'm not having these experiences. And, there is a lot more that I could talk about in terms of unity consciousness, but I will leave it here for this video. But I'm just saying, this is also a time for allowance and allowing you to go through the process of what you need to go through, and to really break down all those limiting beliefs and really look at your wounds, your abandonment wounds, validation, abandonment. Like there's so many things there, and we'll all be different as to how we need to look into ourselves. Meditation, putting yourself first, maybe for the first time in your whole life. So I'll leave this video here. I really hope that it's helped someone just to have a little bit of an understanding as to what unity consciousness might be like. And maybe you're already there and you just didn't really know, and you can be like, wow, I'm feeling all those things too, and it feels amazing and awesome. So thanks for watching, guys. I will see you in the next one.